Anna Croft was silent on the way to Oro Castle. She sometimes smiled strangely when our eyes met, but she didn't speak first. I wish I could read her thoughts, but my understanding of Anna Croft was so low that I couldn't activate the second stage of Omniscient Reader's viewpoint. I didn't like Anna Croft in the original novel. I couldn't count the number of times she killed or backstabbed Yu Jin-hyuk with the fingers on both hands. The atmosphere in the carriage was awkward because both Anna Croft and I weren't speaking. Selena Kim was sweating. Thus, we came together. The incarnations of Asgard were invited. Selena Kim's good nature meant she couldn't stand this type of atmosphere, and she kept saying things that weren't asked for. In any case, it was good for me to hear a lot of information. I see. Are you a part of Asgard? Yes, it was Anna's arrangement. You picked a good nebula. I was just lucky. Thanks to it, I can enjoy this great luxury. The other incarnations weren't invited. Selena Kim looked slightly excited. Well, the invitation to the Gourmet Association had a different meaning from the Constellation Banquet. If the Constellation Banquet was a gathering for the entire nobility, the Gourmet Association was similar to a gathering of the upper nobility. Still, it wasn't necessarily a good thing. I wondered if Selena Kim could continue thinking like this once she arrived. Iris, why aren't you saying anything? You said you wanted to meet Dr. Shi again. I mean, since when did I say that? Oh, this child. Haven't you been talking about Kim Dokja since the last banquet? You haven't seen each other for a while, so say something. Iris's face turned red at Selena Kim's teasing. Iris noticed my gaze and carefully opened her mouth. You are the Demon King of Salvation, right? I had doubts that this person was the cheeky kid from back then, but I decided to be polite. Correct. Is it uncomfortable for you to be with us? Why would I feel uncomfortable? We are just incarnations. The Demon King of Salvation is... Selena Kim's expression was also changing. I had forgotten for a moment, but I was different from them. The gap between incarnation and constellation was like the gap between heaven and earth. Other constellations would have said, these little bugs finally realize who they're talking to. Of course, I wasn't like that. It's fine. I was once an incarnation. Selena Kim seemed to sigh with relief at my words. Iris gained some courage and opened her mouth again. Then, can I ask one question? Please ask. Do you have an incarnation you signed a sponsor contract with? Why are you asking? That... Selena gave a hint for the hesitating Iris. Iris, do you have a sponsor yet? I'm just asking. It's out of curiosity. The twin ponytails moved as Iris twisted her head while Shin Yusung and Lee Gil-young on Earth came to my mind. Those guys, please stay well. I spoke with a nostalgic heart. I have an incarnation on the Korean peninsula. Iris's expression changed at my words. Perhaps that little kid? I nodded. It seemed the rumor of Shin Yusung had spread everywhere. The constellations already told their incarnations. Then Anna Croft opened her mouth. Have you ever thought about changing your incarnation? Selena Kim and Iris stared at Anna Croft with surprise. Anna Croft continued speaking. There are many good incarnations in the Asgard Nebula. There are many talented friends. Iris is one of them. It was an unexpected proposal. Why was Anna Croft suddenly making this offer? Well, maybe Asgard was talking about me. Well, I hadn't formally made a nebula yet. Are you telling me to join the Asgard Nebula? It isn't necessarily the same thing. There are many good incarnations in Asgard. I'm just saying it isn't bad to accept one of them. Can't you withdraw the sponsor contract at any point? The disappointed Iris once again stared at me with sparkling eyes. I replied with an emotionless face. I have no intention of canceling my sponsor contract. Do you like that girl? Is she called Shin Yusung? I didn't answer, and Iris's face filled with deep disappointment. My understanding of her might be very low, but the change in emotions was easily caught. By the way, Anna Croft made a strange remark. For example, if an incarnation suddenly dies. There was an unknown smile on Anna Croft's face. Don't look so surprised. It's just an example. It's a possibility. An unexpected accident or a sudden disaster can cause the death of an incarnation. It's a common thing. If that happens, don't you think you'll change your incarnation? An unexpected accident. Yes, an unexpected accident. An accident that happens accidentally. I stared at Anna Croft. Shin Yu-sung's death. I never thought about it. That won't happen as long as I live. You don't know. It's unclear how and when fate will work. Fate. The atmosphere momentarily shook. The surrounding air filled with an ominous aura, and the entire carriage trembled. Iris and Selena Kim's expressions stiffened. They had goosebumps on their arms as they watched me with a frightened expression. I hadn't wanted to do this. I didn't want to scare them by seeming like a villain. However, Anna Croft crossed a line that shouldn't have been crossed. If something like that happens... Sparks of probability appeared as I used my true voice. The nebula Asgard is concerned. The constellations of the Asgard Nebula are warning you. I heard the indirect messages of the Asgard constellations enter my ears. Nevertheless, I didn't stop. If that happens, I will destroy all the worlds that caused that fate. The impact of the shock caused the windows of the carriage to burst at the same time. The startled driver looked back this way. There was even vague astonishment on Anna Croft's normally calm face. Perhaps she wasn't aware of exactly how much status I had. Shortly afterwards, the carriage stopped and the voice of the guide was heard. We have arrived at Oro Castle. I smiled at the three people who were still stiff. Let's go. We got down from the carriage and was guided into Oro Castle. Oro Castle, the castle, was one of the main homes to the Gourmet Association scattered all over the world and was owned directly by a member of the Gourmet Association. Perhaps it was... I remember that it was one of the 72 Demon Kings. Was it immeasurable austerity? They have been granted permission to enter. I've confirmed it. Come in. The interior of the castle had more of a modern than medieval style. It was reminiscent of a luxurious hotel lobby. The forms of the intermediate symbolic bodies could be seen scattered around. Some constellations are paying attention to your presence. We were guided to a waiting room in the corner of the first floor lobby. Perhaps some people hadn't arrived yet. The three incarnations of Asgard and I were the only ones present. Please wait in the waiting room. There are still more incarnations arriving. The Demon King of Salvation is a constellation. I will arrange a separate waiting room for you. No, I'm fine. I'll just be here. The guide stared at me like I was strange, but soon disappeared. Frankly, it was more comfortable here. I needed some time to prepare my mind. There were panels hung on the wall of the waiting room. They played sub-scenarios currently going on all over the dimensions. Excuse me, earlier. It was Selena Kim who spoke. She might be hesitant because of what happened in the carriage, but there was nothing wrong with the setting of Ways of Survival. I smiled softly and replied, It's fine. I was a bit too much. Selena Kim's expression slightly softened. No, we were too rude. I'm sorry, Demon King of Salvation. Her words were much more formal than before. I didn't mean to refuse the apology, but something felt bad. Selena Kim did nothing wrong. She was one of the few people I liked in Ways of Survival. The one I hated was the shameless person standing in the corner and watching this scene. Then the door of the waiting room opened and another guide appeared. Incarnations of Asgard, please follow me. Constellations of Asgard were probably looking for them. Selena Kim and Iris nodded to me before leaving. On the other hand, Anna Croft watched me before leaving the room. You have too many constellations as enemies. It isn't something for you to worry about. Anna Croft slightly frowned at my assertion. She didn't seem daunted despite what happened before. She was a mere incarnation, but she had contracted with an entire nebula. Perhaps the top-ranked Asgardians were protecting her from my status. As comrades moving towards the same goal, I am seriously advising you. You might not like it, but it is time to cooperate with other constellations. The same goal? Well, I don't know your goal, so I can't answer it. Protecting this world. Aren't you fighting for this as well? Instead of answering the question, I glanced at the panel on the wall of the waiting room. There were images of incarnations torn apart by disasters and constellations. I didn't answer, and Anna Croft brushed by my side. At this moment, I opened my mouth. I have to see if this world is worth protecting or not. Anna Croft's expressions hardened at my words. She looked between the anxious guide and me before giving a short sigh. I hope we have a chance to talk later. She disappeared and only I remained in the waiting room. Once left alone, I quietly organized my thoughts. I recalled the Gourmet Association constellations mentioned in Ways of Survival and thought of the constellations that could be persuaded. I didn't forget their characteristics or their modifiers. I was fortunate at the constellation banquet, but there was no guarantee it would happen again. If the Gourmet Association was expressed as a social circle, this would be my full-fledged debut. Depending on the impression I made here and what I talked about, the direction of the following scenarios would change. At this moment, the door of the waiting room opened. I thought it was a guide, but at this time, an unexpected presence was waiting for me. The moment I was about to say something, the other person spoke first. It's been a while, Kim Dokcha. I've been waiting for a long time. I heard the bright tone of the true voice and realized what the other person was. Really, the queen of the underworld was too mischievous. I sighed and asked, "Why the hell do you look like that?"